Bishop J, where did you grow up?
I was born in Michigan, lived for a brief time in Atlanta, in Nashville, but I grew up in Atlanta. Moved there when I was 9 years old, and through high school, and then, and of course, going off to college, and when I'd come home, it'd be to Atlanta.
Bishop J, I know you've lived in a lot of places before, but where was your favorite place to live?
It's right where I am, Leesburg. I'll tell you why I like it. It's basically, it's semi-rural, and I can get out and do things. And yet you get access to Tampa, Jacksonville, Orlando, and yet I live very close to big lakes. People around here can't believe what I pay to play a round of golf. I can get a cart and play 9 holes for $3, and I have a membership that I pay $300 a year, and then if I walk around, it's free, and if I play 18 holes, it's $5 with a cart. So I mean, these are just peanuts, and that's been the hobby I've picked up since retiring, is golf, and I really enjoy it. And what's exciting about it is I used to be terrible at it, and believed I could never get better, and I am better, much better. I got some lessons and got good clubs, and get to play, as much as the weather permits and I have the time. And I usually play by myself. I go out there generally about 7:30 in the morning, and I'm done before 9. I like 9 holes. So, and the owner of the golf course, we're good friends, and when he has a doctor's appointment or something, if I can, I'll babysit the course for him.
Tell us about your family.
Well, I have a father. My parents divorced when I was 7. My mother remarried, and I have not had much contact. I had almost no contact with my father after about the age of 8, and that's kind of been a painful piece. He's now dead, and as is my mom and stepfather. I had a younger brother and a much younger sister, and my brother died in 2005. He was an immigration officer. He used to hand out green cards to people, and sometimes deny them too, because he could tell when somebody was having a false marriage, for example. But he was also very kind, and he helped me with some people that had immigration issues in the parish, and he was a great help to a number of people for me. But he died in 2005, and then I have a sister. She still lives in the Atlanta area, and she and her husband, and they have 4 children, and I have 3. And when these cousins get together, they have a great time together. So, and then May Ruth and I married in 1969, and we have our 3 children, 2 daughters and a son, and the 2 daughters are married, but both have great husbands, and I have 4 grandchildren, 3 grandsons and 1 granddaughter, and they're all very young. The youngest is now about 2 months old, and then another one's in March will be a year old. Those are 2 boys. And then my oldest grandson is 3.5, and my granddaughter is 2 years and a couple of months, and believe me, she rules the roost.
Bishop J, do you have pets now or when you was growing up?
I don't have any pets now. We had cats forever, but we had 2 collies, 2 collie dogs, and they were both wonderful. One we had for about 8 years. The other was 12 for 12 years, and the last one, Jacob was his name. And the word Jacob means supplanter or replacement. So he replaced Austin. And Jacob and I, we had a pact. I said I'm saving the best dog for last, and he always heard best. I always heard last.
Bishop J, when is your birthday?
My birthday is October 2nd.
Bishop J, what is your favorite movie?
Oh boy. Golly, that's hard. There's a movie that I watch a lot just to relax and what. Well, there are two of them, but one of them's Across the Pacific with Humphrey Bogart and Mary Astor. It was made in 1941, but another one's my favorite. It is my favorite of all. Is made in 1948. Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. Dracula's in there, and in the very end, the Invisible Man, and it actually ruined horror movies because it put comedy into them, and the whole genre was upset because of Abbott and Costello, and the theme of it is that Frankenstein does not have a pliable enough brain. And so they want to remove his brain and put Costello's brain in there because he's much more pliant and can be controlled. And so they want to get him off into the laboratory and remove his brain and put it into Frankenstein's brain. That's what Dracula and his lady friend want to do. It's crazy, and it's silly, and it's fun. And there are just a lot of one-liners in there, too.
Bishop J, what is your favorite song?
I like the Drifters, Under the Boardwalk. I like Sam Cooke a lot. The Drifters. I like the Rolling Stones. I don't care for the Beatles. I feel they're dated. But the Stones, we laugh about them, they should be appearing in Depends underwear now. But I don't know why. I like their music, but the Beatles I just don't find them relevant. And I like Paul McCartney and Wings. I don't know what it is. It's just old and worn out to me. Whereas the Stones, I can listen to them and it's like they just recorded this yesterday. So.
Okay. What is your favorite food?
I'd have to say steak. Can't you tell?
Bishop J, what's your favorite Bible story?
I think the Bible story that has hit me the most through the years is the story of the call of Samuel. In the first book of Samuel, it's Samuel 3, where he's a young boy and he gets called out by God to be a prophet, and as soon as that happens, he's faithful to the very end. And because I believe I was called out also at a very young age. I was probably more like, I was in the 6th grade, or no, 5th grade I think it was. So I was probably 10. So I was a year later than Samuel, even though they don't say he was 9. I just guessed that he was 9. Well, what happened to me was the church had they wanted young people to know the Bible, and they had a book called Hurlbut's Story of the Bible. It was printed like in around 1930. And I remember sitting very distinctly, my little brother to my mom's left, and me to my mom's right, and she was we were in the living room where there was no TV or any distraction, and she opened it up, and it with Genesis chapter 1, and it began, all the world is a void, and with that I asked her, what is a void? And she said, it's nothing. And with that, she continued, and God said, let there be light. And when that happened, something went off in me. And the only thing I can say to describe it is that everything I'd learned up to that point is over here. this is brand new information of its own type, not to be mixed with this at all at this time. And it was like being claimed. And my mom tried really hard to get through that book, and she got about halfway through the Old Testament. It was one of those things that went by the wayside. Well, I picked up the book and read it the rest of the way. And so, as a fifth grader, I knew the Bible pretty well, because I knew all the stories from that point on, and so I was unusual. This was in the Episcopal Church. So.
Bishop J. Why did you become a priest and then a bishop?
Well, to become, I came out of high school wanting to be a priest, and then I ditched it in college. And I had other things I wanted to do, and then I got caught up with the Navy. I was at that time they were drafting people, and I didn't want to be drafted in the Army, so I joined the Navy, and spent 4 years, and then I did graduate work at the University of Georgia in history, and the advisor I had wanted me to go into ancient history because there weren't that many people doing that, and that doesn't mean Greece or Rome. That's called classics. But this is about ancient Israel, Babylon, Egypt, and he wanted me to go to University of Chicago. And so I had to show ability in an ancient language. And at the University of Georgia, they only had basically one thing that you could study, and that was Hebrew. And guess what you're going to read when you read Hebrew? You're going to read the Bible. And so it reawakened all this, and I was not sure what I wanted to do. I was thinking about being a professor. I was thinking about, again, being a priest. And I was thinking about being a lawyer. Every time I picked up a law book, I fell asleep. And but I went on to University of Chicago, and I was there and not real happy with it. The school was good, and I ended up in Islamic studies, learning Turkish, and I was just so far away, and all I was doing was reading Christian material. And one day I came home, and it was cold. I was just frozen to the bone, and I got into the shower to warm up, and I remember looking up into the shower head, and it's like a surrender. Okay, Lord, you have me. And it was not happy. It was not. It was one of those things that it was just right. And so I chose to do this, and it was like, once that was decided, we went back to Florida where Mayruth's father was. He had a furniture store, and I worked for him while processing through the Diocese of Southwest Florida to go to seminary. And everything was easy. Everything was just incredibly easy from that point on. It was just there. And the call to be a bishop was weird too, because in 2002, Diocese of Milwaukee, where I had served for a long time, I ended up serving there 23 years, but I'd been there at the time probably about, I came in 1983 to, this has been 2000, so it was a little less than 20 years I'd been in the diocese, and I thought about running for bishop, and I went into a discernment then, and I decided I was not suited to be bishop of Milwaukee or to be a bishop anywhere, and that I came to the conclusion that's what God wants of other people and not me. And so I later came to St. James Leesburg. I'd been there about 6 years, and a position came open of Diocese of Eau Claire, and I was looking to retirement. I had an idea I'd buy a boat and sit out there and fish all day or something. I had no idea what to do in retirement, and I came to the conclusion that first of all, I felt sorry for bishops because I knew I wasn't ever to be one, and I thought I had to admit my idea of a boat was pretty unrealistic, and I'd probably sit there and watch reruns of some TV show all day, and so I made a decision to just retire out and maybe do interim work help parishes that were without a priest, and that's what I was thinking of doing. And this position came up, and the clergy online were talking about it, saying, we know what this is. This is called full-time work for part-time pay. And they were kind of laughing about it, but I got defensive because I really cared about this diocese. It was another one. It was a neighbor in Wisconsin. I knew it fairly well, and it was a part-time job, which I did not want full-time work after, because I was close to retirement myself, and so I ended up taking it. And I ended up going through a process, and I would breathe hot and cold, hot and cold. Sometimes I would sit there, and I even sought spiritual direction going to Ernie Bennett, who is the canon of the ordinary for Central Florida. And I said, Ernie, what is wrong with me? I can't make up my mind. I change my mind 3 times in a day. And he said, it's the Spirit working in you. Let it unfold. It'll either be all hot or all cold. Just don't do anything. Just be. And then one day in just regular prayer, I screamed out, Lord, send someone else. And I knew then it was done. And as soon as I decided to do it, I knew I was going to be elected bishop. I mean, that sounds very arrogant, but I knew it in terms of where God was with me. And again, everything became incredibly easy and fun, and it was a great run. I was their bishop for about between 6 and 7 years, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. And a lot of good friends, and I had wonderful clergy, and I had very few problems compared to what other bishops deal with.
What is your favorite church season and why?
Well, I'd have to say it's the Easter season. Easter's so full of hope. It brings such joy. It helps me to deal with what eternal life is about. I keep trying to figure out what it was like seeing Jesus as risen Lord, and in so many ways, all the teachings for the rest of the year, they come to fruition there. One of the things that's interesting is we have all these liturgies for different days: Ash Wednesday, Palm Sunday, Maundy Thursday, Good Friday. But we get to Easter Day. It's the easiest liturgy of all, and you want to say because it's modeled after regular Sundays, but the truth is that every Sunday is modeled after Easter Sunday. So we get it in backwards, but the truth is that that's what it is. It's modeled after every Sunday is like Easter, but the Easter season is really special. And here's a question that I'd like to throw out to the youth. We see the appearances of Jesus as risen Lord in the Bible. What do you think he's doing on his days off? When he's not there, where is he? What's he doing? I like to think maybe he's in a lazy boy recliner watching reruns of Green Bay Packer games. It's a serious question, though. What is he doing when he's not appearing? And John has him going to heaven and back, to heaven and back. Luke doesn't explain it. It's a fair question. It really is. Because where is he? What's he doing? But John has him, ascending back and forth, whereas Luke in particular, but they have him staying around till Ascension Sunday, and then ascending to heaven, and they all see it. But if he hasn't ascended until then, what's he doing? It's a fair question, isn't it? And that's part of the joy of exploring our faith. want to say I'm having a lot of joy being at St. Philip's, and it's got a lot of challenges. I sometimes don't think I ever worked so hard for the money, but I'm enjoying it, and there's a lot to figure out, a lot yet to learn, but I have learned a lot already. And for what it's worth, you all draw out of me everything I know to give, and you test me well, and because of that I grow, and because of that I'm very happy to be here.